Hey people, you are live with Mizz Moodie on blogtalkradio.com. And I have to apologize for some, well, not false advertising, but, I said I was going to have Brandon Barrett and Jordan Wiggins, but, Brandon had to cancel on me, last minute, like literally like right after I just put the last, posted the last link on Facebook. Jordan, where you at? I'm looking for you. If you're listening, it's time to call in. But I guess y'all are just rocking with me for now. Today's topic is, what are your thoughts on modern day racism? And I picked this topic because, there's been a lot of disturbing stories in the news recently. And by recently, I don't necessarily mean within the last couple of weeks. I know the Paula Deen story and the George Zimmerman trial are big right now, but I'm talking about maybe within the last year. I'm going all the way back to like when the Hunger Games was released. I mean, there's been a lot of racially charged stories in the news that I've decidedly, chose not to comment on because I don't really like addressing racism. But now it's starting to get on my nerves. So now I'm just going to address everything. So the first story in mind was when the Hunger Games came out. For all of those who saw the Hunger Games, the character Rue was a black little girl, and the character Thresh, I'm not sure if they were related, but I know they came from the same district, was also a black guy. And when the movie was released, a lot of Hunger Games fans were tweeting, a lot of racist comments talking about, why did Rue have to be black, or, somehow, because, Rue was described as a very innocent girl, so somehow being black made her less innocent. Now, to that I say, I mean, these people clearly didn't read the book, because in the book it said Rue was black and it said Thresh was black. Not only was Rue black and Thresh was black, Katniss is not even supposed to be white. Y'all can fact check me on this, by the way. I read the book, so I remember. Katniss is supposed to be, they never make specific reference to what her race was, but she's supposed to be dark-haired, she wasn't supposed to be blonde, and she was supposed to have olive skin. So that could pass for, like, Latina, maybe somewhere from the Mediterranean, or maybe a mixed-race girl. But she definitely wasn't supposed to be blonde-haired like she was in the movie. So they already, changed up the book by making Katniss black. Katniss white, sorry, and blonde. But Rue wasn't supposed to be white. So, people are just, having a big fit over Rue's race, and, they didn't even read the book properly. But this kind of demonstrates why I don't really rush to address racism, because obviously I kind of feel like it comes from a lack of education. So, or I guess a lack of class. So I kind of feel like I shouldn't really address it, but it's starting to get on my nerves. Next story was Jamie Foxx at the movie awards a couple months ago. Wore a Trayvon Martin t-shirt, and it said, "No justice, no peace." And again, a lot of people were tweeting racist tweets about Jamie Foxx. A lot of disturbing tweets. I'm going to read some of them now because they actually put them on a website if anybody wants to check it out, called publicshaming.tumblr.com, where they collected all the tweets at Jamie Foxx, just so y'all know how serious it is out there. I'm skipping through some of them because it's a lot. I'm trying to just get straight to the worst ones right now. Jamie Foxx arrived at the MTV Awards wearing a shirt with "Dead Nigga Criminals" on it. Sad. Okay. Jamie Foxx, stupid nigga, liberal fuck. Oh, that Trayvon Martin shirt. That nigga dying made one less family have their car not stolen. That one kind of got me mad. And then the one that got me the most pissed off was, I'm looking for it. Okay, Jamie Foxx wearing a Trayvon Martin shirt. I'm sorry, but how many white people were killed by black people and it wasn't a big deal? And this is what I keep saying why I don't address racism, because it kind of comes from a lack of education. Because if this person were educated, they would know the prisons are filled with black people, okay? And black people are a minority. I think we only make up something like 13% of the population, and we are not accountable for most of the country's crime because we only make up so much of the population. But yet the prisons are filled with black people. Yes, it's a big deal when we kill white people. Like, seriously? Like, are you kidding me? Like, Emmett Till got beat up just for, I guess, hitting on a white woman, and he didn't even touch her physically. So, I mean, obviously this person is not educated in history. But I'm going to address 2 more stories, and then I'm going to get to my callers. The next story after that is the Paula Deen thing. And what makes that interesting now is that I'm surprised there are a lot of black people coming to her defense. Like Stacey Dash talking about, oh, she likes Paula Deen, and, you know, and Ciara talking about it's okay to say the N-word if it's in the right context. And I'm just like, okay, I can agree to some extent. Like, I can forgive someone for saying the N-word if it's in the right context, but it wasn't in the right context. Like, first of all, she wasn't treating her black employees with the same respect as her white employees. She literally made them use a different bathroom. Like, this is not 1960-something. Like, what is this? And that's not legal, first of all. And then, 2, in the context she said the N-word is that she said she wanted a wedding with a Civil War-style thing with, you know, black nigger servants dancing around and entertaining her company. Like, when is that the right context? Like, that's just bad. Like, and I don't feel sorry for her for losing all her, you know, jobs and endorsements and all of that thing. And first of all, again, lack of education. Like, common sense tells you, in 2013, in a country with a black president, you can't say certain shit and not expect repercussions. Of course, they're going to take away your endorsements. Of course, they're going to drop you from Food Network. You can't do that. That's just stupid. As far as the George Zimmerman trial, I haven't been able to keep up with it. So if anybody out there listening has been watching it, I'd love for somebody to call in and let me know what they think of this George Zimmerman trial. But that's another person I don't feel sorry for. But anyways, I'm going to get to my first caller. Shavara, what's up?
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
How do you feel about modern day racism or any of those stories I was, you know, just rambling on about?
First of all, I just want to say that I think one of the biggest problems in America right now is that people, cue that beeping, I don't know if you hear it, but,
yeah, I hear it, but it's
okay. One of the biggest problems in America right now is that people are trying to make it seem like we're so post-racism. We have a black president. We have Sonia Sotomayor, who just, you know, was elected, you know, to be one of the Supreme Court justices. Like, there's, all this change. But I still see way too much evidence that we're really not post-racism. I mean, I know that you did bring up the Jamie Foxx story was a great example of that. But one thing I was also thinking of was this whole thing about the Voting Rights Act that they're trying to vote down. All these southern states are now going to get permission to go back to basically like the old times where they basically kept black people from voting. And like nobody's really talking about that. Yes, this happened.
Whoa, for real?
This happened, yeah. Nobody's talking about it because people are worrying about videos and saying that's bringing down the culture. And I'm like, that doesn't really mean shit to me. This is important. Like,
are you bugging? I hope that's not because they were mad that Obama got reelected. Because we didn't. I mean, we only make so much of the population. White people put Obama in office.
Exactly.
Like stopping us from voting isn't going to do anything. On top of that, black people, unfortunately, kind of have that mentality of they can't fight the government. So it's not really us really going. I mean, it's a handful of us, yeah, but I mean, the vast majority of us. I mean, we did this in the "Is the Government Corrupt" show, where that was one of my points was that. Huh?
Sorry.
Oh, the government is our government corrupt show, where I said, people are just focusing on their day-to-day lives and not thinking about the bigger picture. So that's generally, like, we're worried about feeding our families and getting from day to day. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that's all of us. I'm just saying that's the reality for a lot of us. So I'm like, suppressing us from voting, white people put Obama in office. I'm sorry. Like, again, this is coming from a lack of education. Like, these people don't think. But yeah, go ahead. Did you have anything else to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to I feel like I really agree with you. I think it is a backlash from Obama being elected because they're saying that, first of all, I didn't understand why it was southern states. They said it will also apply to some boroughs like Brooklyn, the Bronx, whatever. But it's basically saying like these states and also these counties in Brooklyn and the Bronx are going to have permission to like do redistricting on their own without federal oversight, which before it was like, if they did that, then the federal government would come in and be like, wait, why are you doing this? But now it's like they have permission to do it. And the excuse is that the Voting Rights Act of 1965 came because of all these, the civil rights movement and all these issues, but supposedly we've moved on and we've changed and they need to update the law. So that was the whole Supreme Court decision. And I didn't even know this was even an issue. Like, no one discussed it. No one was discussing it, and it just kind of came out. Like, this decision was made by the majority.
Oh my God! Oh my God! And
I'm
like, not even giving what's needed
already. And I'm just kind of like, I'm really disappointed. Like, this is supposed to be a government of the people, and it's like they just threw this mandate down, and we're supposed to accept it.
And what's pissing me off now is that what is going on with? I mean, I guess this is a whole different topic, but what's going on with the news not reporting real news? Like, the bullshit I see on the cover of the Post is starting to get me tight. Like, I don't know if it was on the cover of the Post, but I saw on my Facebook and my Instagram some story about some lady that's like had sex with like 300 and something people. Why is this news? Like, who this woman spreads her life to? This random woman, not even a celebrity, spreads her life to is none of my damn business. Like, stuff like this is the stuff I want to hear about. Like, anyways, I'm gonna get to my next caller. Okay, Greg. You were listening for a minute, so I'm guessing you heard everything going on. What are you thinking about modern day racism?
Honestly, at this point, June 2013, I really don't know what to make of it. Actually, I kind of take the attitude of, I guess that most, black people take. I just kind of just brush it aside and don't really try not to take it for. I mean, you'll always have some sense of, it'll get to you some, a little bit, but I try not to let it because, it seems like we're still dealing with it, 60 years after the, the March on Washington, then. We've made some positive strides as a people, but certain things just apparently aren't going to change. Certain things are just going to stay the same, and it's unfortunate because now they're taking the little bit of power that we the little bit of power that we do have in the government. That's slowly being taken away. Case in point is with what Shamara said with the, because I heard about that. I heard about it yesterday, as a matter of fact, with the voting rights being, changed. It's almost similar to like the grandfather clauses like they used to have back in the day. If your grandfather couldn't vote, you couldn't vote. So it's like, once the government, makes decisions like that or decides to pull out, in areas where they're definitely needed, then, it's really like, I don't really know what else to really do.
Damn. I'm sorry, I'm kind of speechless because I'm just hearing about some changing of voter rights. I'm just now I'm even more upset. That's crazy in 2013. Like, wow, really? All right, so I have a question. I'm going to unmute Shamara. Shamara, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I have a question for both of y'all. So, with the Paula Deen thing now, obviously the obvious argument that, white people use when talking about the N-word is that they say, of course, that we say it all the time, too. So what's everybody's view on black people saying the N-word? Should we stop? Should we continue? Is that even a legitimate excuse? What do y'all think?
I don't think it's a legitimate excuse, and I'm like you said, you were surprised that, there's these black celebrities defending Paula Deen. I'm kind of shocked. Like, it's not cool. If it was cool, then people wouldn't get offended about it. Of course there's derogatory terms for white people, but they don't get offended about it. It doesn't bother them. But I don't care. At the end of the day, the word nigga is going to bother me. Like, especially in the context that she used it. I don't see how anybody could possibly defend that. You want to have a wedding with slaves and all kind of nonsense, and things you said about different bathrooms. Like, once again, I don't see how we're post-civil rights movement or that we've made enough games since then. Like, if things like that are still going on.
No, we're not. That's, like, clear. I mean, don't get me wrong. We have it a lot easier than, you know, our, I don't want to say ancestors because that's going back too far. Even though, yes, we definitely have it more easier than our ancestors. I mean, like, a couple generations ago, you know, we have it a lot easier than them. I mean, I have rights and access to things that they didn't have access to. But, I mean, I kind of feel like we can't change people's attitudes and how they were raised. Like, that's ingrained in them. So I'm not even really fighting on people's opinions, but I just kind of like, you know, people need to watch how they carry themselves in public. That's all I'm trying to say. Now, my view on the N-word, one, I definitely don't think it's a legitimate excuse that we can use it because I'm like, I mean, I'm not a big advocate for this phrase, but, like, you know, life just isn't fair. Like, it wasn't fair for us to be enslaved. It wasn't fair for us to be treated as second-class citizens in the country. So, yeah, I can say the N-word and you can't. You gotta suck it up. I'm sorry. Like, that's not exactly fair, but yeah, not that I'm saying I say the N-word all day. Actually, I do. But, not that, okay, in private settings, yes, I use the N-word, but, and then also, you kind of touched on another argument I made. This is like one of my favorite episodes of the Boondocks was with the garden party where Huey is trying really, really hard to offend white people, and they just keep clapping, because I'm like, it's easy for them to not be offended, because they don't, it's really the history behind the N-word and not the word itself. Like, I mean, if I run around calling white people a cracker, like, especially like some corporate Wall Street guy cracker, he's gonna laugh at me and go on to his nice car and go on to his nice, you know, multi-million-dollar paying job, and that's gonna be it. Like, it's easy to not be offended when you still rule the world. But for us, I mean, it's not. I forgot my point. Basically, I kind of feel like it's not really the word because, like I said, I mean, I kind of agree with Ciara to an extent that I can forgive it in the right context, but I'm like, it wasn't in the right context. Like, but then at the same time, I kind of feel like if they're doing it to annoy you, then you're letting them win if you get all up in arms with it, which kind of defeats the purpose of my whole entire show. But I still kind of feel like I'm contradicting myself, I know. But I feel like I just don't feel sorry for Paula Deen for losing her show. That's all. That's my main point. And no, it's not a legitimate excuse to say that we say it all the time. That was my point. Greg, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Coming from somebody who uses that word a lot, I'll definitely throw that out there and admit that. But to me, I kind of look at it as different. There's different levels. Okay, at the top, it's still a racial derogatory term that you know, no matter what, you know, because that word has arguably the most history. Out of all curse words, in my opinion, I think that word actually has the most history, the most negative history out of every single curse word in the book, at least as far as this country is concerned. So, you know, there's that at the very top. Then another level would be, you know, there's different levels of acceptance, you know, of the word. That doesn't necessarily make it right, but it's still acceptance. Like, okay, in our modern day culture, it's not, the word isn't right, but it's accepted amongst Black and Spanish people. Spanish people, that's a whole nother story, but for the most part, it's socially accepted, you know, amongst us. Now, another form of, I guess, quote unquote acceptance, in my opinion, if you're a white guy or girl and you're raised amongst nothing but African Americans, and you know you don't have a thorough sense of history of the word, but all you've known is Black people, and you know the word is more so just used as just a regular term as far as like, okay, you know, friend, boy, buddy, you know, that's just what you're, you know, accustomed to doing. And, you know, you saying and the people around you don't say anything because that's, you know, that's just what you've been brought up in. Then in that particular situation, it may be acceptable to them. They may not say anything about it. But then on the other side of things, in the context that it was used with Paul Dane, is not acceptable. That's it in a nutshell. You know, it's totally unacceptable because, you know, when people use it, like if I was to be like, you know, it was good, my nigga, you know, majority of people wouldn't look at it as a racial term because of how often the word has been used and in that context. But you know, if I were a white person, or even if I was a black person, if I were to say, okay, you know, we're not voting for any niggas voted in office, then, you know, that would clearly be a racial, you know, more a racial comment.
Yeah. So basically, you're saying for you, it depends on the context.
It is. To me, it depends on the context, but that's why I said, you know, before I said anything, I will recognize it as a, you know, still a racial derogatory term. That's really just at the end of the day.
All right, just to add a little sidebar to what you were saying, because you said a white person that grew up, I guess, around nothing but black people. I actually Kim as in Eminem's ex-wife and baby mom, actually went on a talk show and said that he does say the word in his private life. He just doesn't say it publicly, I guess, to avoid a backlash. I mean, I don't feel no type of way about that. I just wanted to throw that out there as an example of what you was trying to say. But, which, of course, his friends, I guess, don't mind. But, yeah. Anyways, I think that's it for today because Shamara just dropped out. So thanks everybody for calling in. I will see y'all next week. Thank you everybody who listened. And yeah, that's about it. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.
All right.